From both fighters making massive amounts of money off of each other to him asking the problem child to just be friends, here's what Nate Diaz really thinks of Jake Paul. I mean, he's sending a lot of mixed signals. On one hand, Nate's like, let's just be friends. On the other, he's gonna whoop his. What does he actually feel? Well, he probably doesn't want Jake to vanish from the face of the earth. He is, after all, getting a huge bag of cash for fighting him. It comes with the territory of fighting a YouTuber turned professional boxer. While the boxing match might not be the best, millions of people will still tune in to watch the fight. Any Jake Paul opponent will tell you they're fighting Jake for only one reason: to shut him up. People find Jake Paul annoying. His fame is the only thing landing him pro fights. That might be true, but it still takes skill to beat those guys. Fighters like Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley thought they were just going to knock some sense into a YouTuber and get paid millions of dollars. They came to the fights unprepared, expecting an easy fight, and got cleaned up. It was so bad that people started saying the fights were rigged. So while Jake's fame landed him huge fights, it also discredited his wins. Apparently, the only way a professional fighter could lose to Jake is if he got paid off. This time, Nate won't fall for the same trick. First off, even if he does underestimate Jake and get surprised during the fight, Nate is one of the best at adapting. This guy can take a punch, and even if it takes him a couple of rounds worth of punishment, he will get accustomed to Jake's game plan. As to whether he can beat it, remains to be seen. He has already said he is taking the fight very seriously, and he means it. Footage of his intense training camp emerged, and it's crazy. Jake Paul fans love saying Nate is washed up, but he looks pretty impressive during training. It's safe to say he isn't just out to get paid. Jake's been choosing boxers who aren't exactly in their prime years, but he might have bitten off more than he can chew with this one. Nate is a mixed martial artist, and even though he isn't a classified boxer, he's a complete fighter. He might not be a very technical boxer come fight night, but he knows how to turn it into a scrap. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is fighting on home turf. He is a professional boxer, and it is a boxing fight. Nate, however, is a mixed martial artist.
Diaz waiting for Ibrahim to step in. Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz has done it.
MMA fighters are used to grappling, hammer fists, and plenty of other moves that aren't allowed in boxing. So Nate would have had a lot to learn before he even started studying Jake and his style, meaning he was already behind in preparation for the fight. The rivalry between MMA and boxing is a real one. When Conor McGregor changed sports to fight Floyd Mayweather, he sparked a flame. It showed people that MMA fighters can give boxers a decent challenge. That fight opened the doors for modern-day MMA stars to fight boxing stars, and it gave people like Jake Paul the ability to basically poke a lion with a stick. The plan was simple: go after the whole UFC roster, make them cross over to boxing, which is a very difficult thing to do, and beat them. Obviously, it doesn't swing both ways. Any boxer would get destroyed in the UFC octagon. So it's a good thing Jake versus Nate is a boxing fight. As much as millions of people would love seeing Jake Paul getting mauled by Nate Diaz in an MMA fight, it wouldn't be very interesting for neutrals. Jake's plan worked pretty well initially, but it looks like Jake will have to come up with a new plan. You see, when Jake did this, he was a newbie. The best UFC fighters like Poirier and Gaethje were too good for him. They had better fighters to fight. The only fighters who responded to his comments were fighters who weren't really at the peak of their careers anymore. Now, if he's big enough to attract Nate Diaz, he is treading on dangerous grounds. These fighters have made enough to last them a lifetime, so they don't care about the money. They are polished fighters who stand a much greater chance of beating Jake, and they actually feel offended by some of the things Jake has said. Let's not forget why Nate agreed to the fight. Jake made some disrespectful comments about Conor McGregor's wife, Dee Devlin.
Good morning, Conor McGregor. I know you're probably beating up old dudes in a bar right now, or maybe you're jacking off because you're sick of your wife. I mean, she's a 4, Conor. You could do a lot better, but happy Monday.
Now, Diaz doesn't exactly love Conor, but like every sport where it takes guts to step into a ring, there is a lot of mutual respect between them. The fact that Jake was freely running around disrespecting the families of legends didn't sit right with Nate. He didn't like how everyone was sitting silently and letting a boxer say stuff about people who deserve much more respect than Jake. So, he decided he would give the spoiled kid a whooping. That's how important respect is for him. He came to Conor's defense amid talk of there being a trilogy fight between Nate and Conor, because this was uncalled for. If you want to trash talk, do it within limits. Who knows if Jake wanted Diaz to call him out, but he should probably be careful with what he wishes for. The fact that his opponent was arrested weeks before their fight probably doesn't bode well for Jake. Yes, Nate went to jail weeks before the fight. He had to spend several hours in jail in New Orleans after he turned himself in for choking someone out. On a Friday night out, Nate and his companions were involved in a street fight. One of the guys got a bit too close to the MMA fighter and got choked out to a headlock. In a video that surfaced, Nate is first seen choking someone out and then standing over the man who is out cold. On the following Monday, the police issued a warrant for Nate's arrest, and knowing he had done nothing wrong, Nate turned himself in to avoid any drama with the police actually making the arrest. The way he put that guy to sleep, though, would make anyone be thankful submissions aren't allowed in boxing. Jake, on the other hand, bent the story in a completely different direction, claiming that Nate turned himself in to avoid the fight. He even tweeted out a plea to the police to release Nate, calling him a homie. A different angle of the fight surfaced later, which shed more light on the events of that night. The videos made it clear that Nate's actions were in self-defense. As for Jake's claim, trying to avoid the fight was the last thing he wanted to do. If anything, Diaz wanted to get all the police business wrapped up before the fight. No one wants to see the police showing up at the arena and stopping the fight. I'd wager those Jake Paul tweets wouldn't have gone over very well either. Nate probably hates this guy's guts even more now. But if that's the case, what's this about Nate asking Jake to be friends? Well, without context, the phrase, "let's just be friends," would probably lead quite a few astray. But if you know the whole story, you'd know it's the exact opposite of an invitation to a friendship. That phrase is from an Instagram post from Nate Diaz. He posted a picture of 3 tough-looking guys, telling his followers they were the security team the Paul sisters hired to stay safe from Nate. Now, hiring bodyguards for pre-fight events isn't a rare occurrence at all. These events are packed with people who hate at least one of the 2 fighters and can very easily get out of control. If Nate can run into a bunch of people who want to fight in the street, the Pauls can also be attacked on their way to the event. Now, you might wonder, why would these tough and scary-looking fighters need someone to shield them from the audience? After all, Nate fought off the attackers by himself pretty well. Well, the answer is simple. They want to keep their energy and focus intact. With the Pauls, even an extra sneeze before the fight can be the reason behind a loss. That's where the bodyguards come into play, guarding their peace of mind. They can help keep them safe from any attacks from Nate fans wanting to return the favor. Nate made sure he made the most out of it, though, saying he wasn't even trying to get to them, and how they were so terrified they hired 3 guys to protect them. He told them they don't need to be scared, saying, "I'm a real fighter from the real fight game, so don't trip so hard when you see me, fellas. Let's just be friends, it's good." So, from him asking the problem child to just be friends, to working together to make loads of money together, that was what Nate Diaz really thinks of Jake Paul.